Today in the crypto space, we see the market holding steady. Bitcoin right around 112,000 and change. Ethereum right around that $4,500 mark, down approximately 2%. And the rest of the crypto space, these altcoins, a mix of green and red with some good gainers, a few little dips here and there. And of course, guys, we're waiting on whether the Bitcoin and Ethereum train is going to continue to the upside. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, guys, I want to talk about a project that, a lot of people have high hopes on, and that project is called Kaspa. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is, it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with this market. First, we'll take a look at the top 100, get a sense of what the market is offering us today. Then we'll jump into the Kaspa chart and the Kaspa fundamentals, try to see what's going on with the Kaspa and the community and so on. As you can see, the total market cap is still below the $4 trillion mark, guys. We want to get above. We're patiently waiting for that to happen. Trading volume is definitely on an uptrend. Not bad. As you can see, the market cap is kind of on an uptrend as well. What I don't like is that when we got the bearish response, we increased in volume, which leads me to believe that maybe there's still a little bit of strength left in the bears trying to push it down. But big picture here on this 1 hour fractal, looks like they're losing the battle, and eventually we might get a bullish response. And it's probably the hardest time to be bullish, given that we see the overall sentiment in the market, particularly on X, and we see that the charts are looking a little bit sloppy. Bitcoin and Ethereum showing that negativity, day after day, and having no sign of bullish response or relief to the upside. But the thing is guys, usually it is the best time to come up with your thesis is to be a contrarian. Start building the opposite side of the thesis. Right now, it's easy to come up with a bearish thesis, right? The trend is your friend. Look at the sentiment. Look at, everybody's, what everybody is talking about, expecting downside. But be that individual that is slow and steadily building that thesis, that bullish thesis, because when things start to turn bullish, it happens so quick, you don't have time. You don't even have time to think about it. You should have a watch list. You should have a thesis. You should have some indicators. You should be prepared for all the little signals that you may get in the next little while to execute quickly. And at the current moment, we are seeing some good signs of the markets. Look at Pith, guys. Yesterday on the live stream, we covered Pith towards the end of the stream, and all of a sudden, bang, up 56%. The entry was perfect. The setup was perfect. Everything worked out very nicely. So congratulations for you guys if you were able to get into that entry last night, because as you can see, staying one step ahead of the market will definitely give you that edge. Pith is the man of the match today and definitely trending. Let's continue. Let's see what's going on here with the top 100. We got Bitcoin grinding up very nicely to the upside. Ethereum kind of still looking hesitant. To be honest, today it's not Ethereum's day. As you can see, looking a little bit more slumpy than Bitcoin from a market structure perspective. Okay, so and obviously even from a percentage perspective, it is what it is. At the end of the day, guys, we could expect that currently the Bitcoin dominance could be rising based on this fact. Okay, and if you look at the rest of the altcoins, are they looking a little sloppy? I don't know. We see that Solana is doing okay. It's still up 2%, which is nice. BNB 1.2%, which is nice. And if you combine their market caps, it still doesn't meet, not even close to what Ethereum's at. So how much influence can these two heavyweights have? Maybe not much. Okay, we definitely need to see, Ethereum on board if we're going to see the Bitcoin dominance fall. Unfortunately, that's the case. Now, if we start looking at all the other large caps, like the Cardanos and the Trons and even Chainlink is doing good, guys, 3% to the upside. So it looks like it's an oracle narrative. We're seeing Pith do well, very undervalued, has been, on a downtrend for a good little while. So that means the risk to reward is healthy. Chainlink's risk to reward is not as good given the fact that it already did very well in the last couple of weeks. And that's something that you got to understand. And Pith being a lagger has a better opportunity for risk to reward. So maybe this is the thing. And seeing Chainlink up while the rest of the market looks a little sloppy is not bad of a scenario because it gives us that indication that maybe the market is interested in the Oracle narrative. Let's see if we can pick up some more from that throughout the market. What else do we have? Hyperliquid a little down, looks a little sloppy, guys. I don't like that confirmation high, that lower high, right? We'll take a look at a lot of these charts tonight at 8 p.m. when I go live, guys. Feel free to join. I take requests. If you have any projects you want me to cover, I'll definitely put them on top priority on the list. Sui going sideways, a little bit of a dippage. CRO took a dip. Now it's up 23%. We're going to get a bit of volatility out of the CRO for the next little while, in my opinion, because it's either we get a massive retracement or we structure. And with structure, you're going to get volatility. With retracement, you're going to get obviously in this case, a nice dip. So either way, guys, it's about being patient here with CRO. We could continue for another move to the upside and extend one more. But ultimately, guys, you're taking lots of risk after 120% pump to the upside. That for me is risky. Okay, so for me, it's done. It's done. Congrats if you got in early, because that's basically what you're going to get. That was the opportunity. What else do we got here? Pretty sideways, pretty neutral, give or take 1%. Nothing major. The market in general is very sideways today. The mantle doing pretty good, nice 7% to the upside, 8% is not bad. We'll take that, of course. We'll celebrate all the pumps, but why I like doing this, because it kind of gives me a gauge of sentiment. Are we bullish? What are we looking for? Or what kind of coins are actually picking up? Exchange tokens, are they waking up? 3.7% for KuCoin, that's not too bad. And if we look at others, we'll keep an eye on other exchanges. Look, Jupe, okay, that's a DEX, different DEX aggregator for Solana, but still an exchange. Are people getting active in trading and that kind of stuff? Because that definitely helps price action. What else do we got here? We got Injective finally making a little move here. Nice 5%. Celestia looking okay. And the market in general is okay. Very neutral. A little bit of green. Few pumps. Few random anomalies, again, like Pith. But that's the thing, guys. You can't be judging the entire space off of one random move, right? So this is why I like scraping through the top 100, just to give us a sense of what the market feels like. Now that we see this very neutral, very sideways, and especially for, I would say it's almost like 2 weeks now of this type of price action, dipping and, trying to find its bottom, I feel like it's due for us to start, looking into bullish structure, start looking for those indicators and building that thesis for bullishness, because at any moment we could definitely get a reversal. All right, guys, let's get right into some of this price action and talk about Kaspa. Let's do it. At the end of the day, guys, we know that Kaspa is a beast. The community's strong, borderline toxic, but it doesn't matter, guys. We know that Kaspa at the end of the day did very well from its early days to where it is right now. Currently, the market cap is at about 2.36 billion dollars, which is pretty large at the end of the day. Fully diluted. Again, it's pretty much fully diluted. Where are we at? Total supply, max supply, all the circulating supply. It's fully diluted, guys. So from a tokenomics perspective, we're doing pretty good. You got to understand that right now we're really relying on the distribution, basically wallet distribution. And if those wallets belong to the team or to anything else, we just got to make sure, that not one of those wallets are holding a concentrated amount of tokens, right? You have to understand that Kaspa's value proposition is trying to, marry up or basically tag along with Bitcoin. And really, it does what it has to do with regards to its current technology. And why I'm being very clear about that is because its current technology can only compete with Bitcoin at the current moment. And I say this, look, even Bitcoin, no matter how great it is and how much we love Bitcoin, competition is healthy for any emerging market, right? We push boundaries. We compete in order to improve. And ultimately, the people that benefit from this type of competition in a capitalistic environment, as I'm trying to describe here, is the end customers and the investors. So I'm hoping that Kaspa can put that fire and potentially find a great new innovation and great opportunity. And we know that from what it has to offer, it is really good from a tech perspective. However, we have to understand and we have to really address, the elephant in the room, which is the smart contract. Is it necessary for Kaspa to survive and do well? No, it is not. But I do believe that based on the assumption that it was meant to be, in order to have a smart contract. I believe a lot of people priced in that capability, and a lot of people believed that Kaspa eventually was going to be a smart contract platform that had very similar characteristics to Bitcoin, coupled with other technologies that would make it, an ideal competitor to Ethereum eventually. Now, this is the thing, is that it's not a competitor to Ethereum, and right now it's currently, competing with Bitcoin. That's a tough competitor, right? That's a very tough thing to really, it's a tough commitment. Guys, all the power to Caspians. If you could do it, whatever you could do. I'm hoping to see smart contracts around the corner. Let's see what they got here on the socials real quick. By the way, guys, I went on their website to try to get on their X account, and this was their X account. Now, their X account, it seems to be Kaspa 404. Do your own research. It's a commentary. Okay, so I'm not. There's nothing really happening here. So I decided to click this and look at the Kaspa search. What are people talking about with regards to Kaspa? Breaking news. This dude right here, 3 hours ago, Joe Wang. KAS smart contracts delayed again. So this is the problem, guys. This is not a new concept, and this is, a concept that we've been dealing with or been hearing about regarding Kaspa, is that a lot of people are still waiting on, the smart contracts to come to fruition. They can't even deploy a meme coin properly without it. This is the concept. This is the problem here. So what we really want to see is their tech. Although it's good, I know people are going to argue, oh, the Kaspa is the best tech. For what it offers, it's the best. Like, it's great. It does amazing stuff, right? Let's keep it at that. Let's keep it for face value. But if you're going to compete in the heavyweights with the heavyweights in the smart contract platform, there is no competition. Kaspa can't compete in that league. So it's got to stay there with Bitcoin and all the rest, the decentralized currencies. And for me, that's going to be a very tough thing to, accomplish, given, we're dealing with Bitcoin and many others. Sometimes you just have to flex on them. Okay, fine, the proof of work and this and that, blocks and this, the speed. And we know that Bitcoin has its issues. And again, we're really being honest in here. You can't compare it with Solana. It's not fair. Okay, maybe XRP, but not even. And Litecoin, sure, that's probably the best comparison. Let's continue down. New listing on Binance. We got Kaspa. This was August 27th, so definitely pretty good. Like, repost if you want Binance. No, it's not here. So this is the type of information you get. This is not an actual listing, new listing. If you want it, of course, they're trying to get that going. It's not an actual new listing. And then Joe Wang again, 3 days away to cast smart contracts, and it was delayed. You can see that the community's following this, and this is not the first time that we get this. So Kaspa has the best community. I would say that's very true. They have a very strong community, very, very strong, to the point that one may argue that they're toxic. But who cares? Because the sentiment is strong, and they made the price what it is without smart contracts. So now the question is, if they do eventually release smart contracts, what is going to happen to the price of Kaspa? And what about if they don't altogether? What is going to happen to the price of Kaspa? Guys, that's a dangerous scenario. It's very dangerous right now. With or without smart contracts, Kaspa is it's almost like being at an inflection point. Because with smart contracts, we might get a pump, but there's probably very salty people that have been holding this chart for a good while that, saw a big retracement and are left in the shade with regards to smart contracts and are fed up and maybe overexposed. And maybe we're going to see a little bit of people, excited about, smart contracts, and then we get a pump or something. Or, I would like to see that. I would love to see Kaspa, fulfill its promises and get its, sentiment up there. But for me, it's like, after a while, does the community get exhausted? It comes to a point that they're clinging on for dear life, and I don't know if they're going to get exhausted. I hope not. I hope that they have the strength to weather the storm. But as you can see in the flash of lightning, time stands still, for its speed outtraces the eye. Okay, it's fast. We get it. But that's not why people bought Kaspa only. This is the reality. I bought Kaspa assuming that we were going to get smart contracts. And, I remember a couple of years ago when they were pushing that meme coin, that was where I thought it was going to come out, and nothing happened. So we really have to understand that Ethereum gave us programmable money. Kaspa gives us programmable money with instant finality. Sure, whatever it is. But you can't compare Ethereum with Kaspa at the current moment. That is a fallacy. That is problematic. Okay, so we got to move on. I know there's people that are not going to agree with me, but at the end of the day, facts are facts, and it is what it is. All right, guys, let's take a look at some price action. Let's see what we got here. At the end of the day, Kaspa is in a consolidation. And you can see that at all these given points. Remember, I got in early with Kaspa. I was one of the guys that got in here and was very interested on these dips and accumulated and did very well. I was also one of those guys that decided to take profit here at the tops, and I made my voice very vocal that I was taking profit. I took profit, bought dips, took profit, bought dips, and then I said, it's enough. This is an ugly structure because really it looks like a massive distribution. And guess what, guys? It ended up happening to be one of the biggest distribution structures in the crypto space in the last little while. As you can see, this structure is massive. Now, when you start looking at what's happening right now within this range, again, we're hovering around 9 cents. You got to admit that nothing bullish has, really been printed here. This could be a continuation to the downside. Now, I'm going to be very clear here is that I'm trying to be honest and open about price action here. There's always going to be a bullish thesis and there's always going to be a bearish thesis. The easiest thesis at the current moment is going to be bearish. Unfortunately, it's the case. The sentiment of Kaspa, in my opinion, is losing grip because it's not fulfilling its promises and it's competing with other projects that have fulfilled promises. And that is a big problem. Now, could it actually continue holding up at these levels? Guys, I'm going to tell you this. If the price gets bearish from here, because this is the bullish price targets, points of interest that I had here on this chart for a long, long while. I didn't just put these in here. I have all my charts that I always talk about on the Discord, and I have my videos. They're all up on YouTube. So it's not like I'm just making up this story right now. This was my point of interest from up here, where I started taking profit and I exited, where again the Caspians weren't really happy with me, but ultimately it doesn't matter. This is where we are at the current moment. And the question is this the time to take risk? And I say this 100%, that there's no other better place than to take risk right now. Both on the grand scheme of thing of crypto, meaning what Ethereum has achieved, what Bitcoin has achieved, what the total market cap has achieved, what the Bitcoin dominance has achieved. All we're waiting is for others to wake up. But in general, this is the time to take some risk. Now, we also have to understand is that risk comes with reward, of course, but risk comes with potential losses, right? And what we have to understand is after a dip or a sell-off, impulsive move, we get into a retracement. What about if we get into another impulsive move? We have to understand that this level right here has many small order blocks with tons of liquidity still in this level from early investors that could be very emotional zones for liquidation, right? And that's the truth. Now, from here onwards, as you can see, we did get a decent amount of sell pressure, good volume market participation on a downtrend. Not a good look. So my biggest thing that I'm looking at right now is the thesis is bearish. It has to be. It's in a bearish stance for a continuation to the downside. However, if we can get another confirmation so that we can get a proper change of character here, such as a swing failure of some sort, guys, you have no choice but to say, yes, this is the opportunity to buy Kaspa. So trendline liquidity is very clear here. You can see we have trendline, we have liquidity built on all these bottoms. Trendline liquidity is a level of where, or when it gets built, we have levels of where market makers definitely want to go out and play. They come down, sweep these bottoms, maybe even as low as this one, back test and then spring, and then continue to the upside, and that's it, double bottom or whatever the case is. If we do decide to hunt trendline liquidity, just understand that this level right here, this order block or this level of this node of volume, right around this zone, as low as about 7.2 cents, is where we could expect a little bit of an emotional reaction. And if we do come down there, I would be interested to accumulate even more. I'm not buying anymore. I bought some here. I bought some here. I'm done with Kaspa at the current moment. I don't want to overexpose myself. I don't want to just increase my position size without improving my average entry. I know if that had come down here, at least I'm buying my average entry as it is, but at least we get into a confirmation low, a higher low, and then once we go for a bullish response, we need to start breaking these tops so that we can hunt the trendline liquidity to the top. And this is how you get this whipsaw crazy price action. Both longs and shorts get wrecked, but ultimately it turns out to be a great reversal structure. Here at the bottom of the range where we achieve a change of character. Now, what does that mean? That means we no longer want any more lower lows and lower highs. We're done. We're tired of these lower lows and lower highs. Right, right into this area, we're waiting on whether we get a confirmed lower low with a break of structure. But if we can get a swing failure where the bears do not have enough strength to make that lower low, what happens is we start making a higher low. Maybe we break above here, make a higher high, and higher lows and higher highs, and we changed character. No more lower lows and lower highs, transitionary phase, and then bullish higher highs and higher lows. And that is basically what I'm saying, is at this level, we could be printing some evidence of a change of character, a pivot point structure that allows us to reverse right here at one of the most important levels on this chart. We got to be honest. Because if we come down even lower than that, guys, the sentiment on Kaspa is done. This thing is it's going to be very difficult for Kaspa to hold up its chart while there's a sell-off and the rest of the space is looking good. Like, why else would Kaspa be falling? And it's just because it's overvalued. And why would it be considered overvalued? Why will the market defy its actual fair value at a lower price? Because maybe it was valued as a smart contract platform, not just as a currency, a competitor to Litecoin or Bitcoin or as such. This is something you got to think about, guys. What is Kaspa? Right now, in my opinion, it's in an identity crisis because we don't know if it's a smart contract platform or not. So let's define it first, and then we can apply a value to it. And I'm saying this, as the market digests what's really happening with Kaspa, I think what they're doing is taking it down a peg, and it's very likely we come down. And based on that, guys, if you're bullish, we want a swing failure, and we want that change of character. But if not, we're coming down to hunt liquidity at bottom levels where there's liquidity being stored at the current moment with lots of emotion. And ultimately, that's what we got to anticipate and be prepared for any scenarios like that. If we break below 5.6 cents, it's a break of structure, and we start coming down for a lower low, and it's going to look ugly. Very, very ugly. Okay, so that's all I got here, guys. Now's the time to understand that's a risk to reward ratio. Even on the lower time frame is not the greatest, because again, we can sweep that liquidity. If we came back down here, risk to reward is good. Your invalidation is right here at 5.6 cents. If we break below this 5.6 cents, be done, because it's coming down. But if we don't, any dips, let me just put a box here. Any dips into this area right here, even where we are right now, it's still okay. Start DCing, use a 30-30-40. 30%, 30%, 40% invalidation stop loss all the way down here, right? Because if it comes down to breakdown, we're hoping, right, that we don't break below the 1.27 extension. 1.27, the silver pocket, is usually a great place to anticipate a swing failure or some sort of sweep, back test, come back up, get back in, and then bounce and spring to the upside once again. We don't want to break below the 1.27 extension. So you get what I mean? Like, this is where we're like trying to get a better entry, understanding that we're still kind of in a downtrend. We break the horizontal, we're looking for an extension, and I'm hoping that it fails to get to the 1.618 extension. Because if it doesn't, guys, we're in trouble here with Kaspa, I'm telling you. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value, I really do appreciate any buttons that you press there at the bottom. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.